After a double overtime thriller at home last week, the ACU football team is back on the road. I'm Emily Schaefer.
And I'm Owen Simpson. We'll preview that game against Nicholls and recap that exciting win on Saturday. It's the Adam Dorrel Show right now. Welcome to Week 9 of the Adam Dorrel Show, presented by Lawrence Hall. From the ACU TV studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University, I'm Owen Simpson alongside Emily Schaefer and the head football coach at ACU, Adam Dorrel. The Wildcats have certainly found their groove over the past 2 weeks, defending their home with 2 consecutive wins at Wildcat Stadium, including a double overtime thriller against SFA this past Saturday. Coach, with the start you had this season at 2-4, what kind of impact and boost in morale have these 2 past weeks meant for you and your team?
Yeah, I think it's been really positive for our players to. Very proud of them for staying committed to the process, weathering the storm. You know, we use the adage of chop wood and carry water, don't deviate from that. And our guys have never stopped believing in what we're doing. And so, you know, I'm really happy for the seniors. It's the first time they've ever beaten SFA, and, you know, proud of our guys for winning homecoming. Homecoming's obviously a huge deal around here. And, you know, I could tell them all week we only have one job on homecoming. So great atmosphere, great game, and it was great to come out with a win.
And looking ahead, you have a pretty tough remaining schedule in conference play. How are you preparing your team?
Well, this week's, I think, really critical for us. We've got to go on the road. It's our last road game in conference, and so and it's a big one. They're ranked 15th in the country, and they're a very good program, defending conference champion. So we're really focused on this week and trying to go down there and just, again, play a really good football game, you know, not turn the football over. Play really good on special teams, stop the run the ball. And if we feel like if we can do that, we're going to have a chance to win the football game. We really believe that. But that's our biggest focus right now, because you turn around the following weekend, it's the bye week. And coming off a bye, it really mentally and physically refreshes people. So, I mean, we're just really honed in on this week right now.
We have a lot to get to today. Later, we'll have a preview of tonight's road game against the defending Southland Conference champions. But when we return, highlights and Coach Dorrel's analysis from last week's thriller against Stephen F. Austin. Stay with us on the Adam Dorrel Show. Welcome back to the Adam Dorrel Show. Last week here in Abilene for homecoming weekend, ACU took down Stephen F. Austin. The Wildcats scored 17 unanswered points to take a 24-14 advantage midway through the third quarter, but it was a back-and-forth game that took 2 overtimes to decide. Coach, this was a close game really throughout the entire game. While your offense struggled early in the game, your defense, other than one play in the first quarter, did a pretty good job. How important was that to start the game off?
It was huge. You know, I feel like our defense all year has played really consistent, really solid. Gave up a double move because we were in the wrong coverage, blew a coverage actually. So that was the only thing. Other than that, I thought they played really well, tackled really well, stopped the run for the most part, and tried to get SFA to be one-dimensional, and did some really good things. And offensively, we got on track and got going. So it's just, you know, you look at the game right there at that crucial point. We scored the first 2 drives coming out of the halftime and got the ball back. I think it was on the 50-yard line. I didn't get any points, and then bam, just the game of football, man, the momentum swung on us, and we had really bad field position. I think our starting field position was on the 8-yard line in the fourth quarter. So just, again, proud of our guys. We didn't panic. We're able to get through and get it done in overtime.
And, Coach, you've been talking about how important it is to win the turnover margin, and you did.
Yeah.
What kind of impact does that success have on your team?
Well, you know, I'm proud that we're doing it and winning the game. It's just, it's a little bit frustrating because when you're +3 in a turnover margin, those usually aren't games you have to win in overtime. You know what I mean? So, again, I think we're second in the conference right now. I think we're up around 10 takeaway or a +10 turnover margin, and our guys are really, really bought into that. I think if you look at running backs, the way they're securing the football, but again, you go back and we scored 7 points off turnovers. So, you know, that's going to be the deciding factor in the game.
So it's 14-14 at halftime. You take it 13 plays, 75 yards. Luke Anthony passes it to Tracy James to tie up the game. Then they get the ball back with about 30 seconds, and none other than Ryan Stapp forcing the fumble. Jeremiah Chambers recovers it. Chambers now leads the FCS in fumble recoveries this season. He's had a great season thus far. Going into halftime with that kind of confidence, what was the locker room atmosphere like?
Well, we felt like going into the game we had more depth. We were playing more people than they were offense, defense, special teams. So, we felt good. I felt good about the offense finally. We just were a little bit lethargic in the first half, and our guys' body language at halftime was a little bit better. We made some adjustments, and I really noticed at the start of the third quarter just that change in their momentum and attitude. So I think it just started with half. Our guys getting focused. Our leaders did a really good job, and I think that was the theme the entire game. There was definitely things that didn't go our way, but the guys stayed really positive and were able to work through it.
And speaking of the start of the third quarter, y'all came out with 10 points almost right out of the gate, and you upheld that power throughout the quarter. What kind of boost in confidence did that have for your players going into the fourth?
Well, I think it gave us a lot of momentum psychologically, physically. You look at those plays, and our guys just, again, their body language, their energy, their second effort was a lot greater in that third quarter, and it was just, again, one of those things we're trying to work on. We talk a lot in the program about finishing the game, winning the fourth quarter. So we're trying some different things at practice this week to simulate some stressful situations in the fourth quarter where guys are having to really focus late in practice, and hopefully that'll pay dividends for us in the game.
And you just mentioned the importance of the fourth quarter. Yeah. You go in up 24-14. You were held scoreless in that quarter. It was a very similar situation we saw a few weeks ago against Lamar when you were up 24-17 and held scoreless. In these situations, what are some things you're liking out from your performance on your team in the fourth quarter? What are some things you think need to be improved?
Well, the thing that I like is I think our defense has been consistent for the most part in those situations. Offensively, we haven't been. We are taking care of the football. We're not panicking. We're not throwing the ball up in the air for grabs. So that's really important. But just being able to finish those games, and I think it's just a little bit of it's trying to stay in that aggressive mindset. We try to stay aggressive in our play calling, and we just got to go out and execute it and make those plays when we get our opportunities in the fourth quarter.
And on the second play in the first overtime, Trey Self threw that 21-yard pass to DeLeon Ward, and it seemed like Ward was going to score on the play, but then Jeremiah Chambers came in and pushed him out at the 1-yard line. Can you kind of talk about the significance of that play?
Yeah, it was huge. I think it was the play of the game because obviously everybody's sitting there going, well, they're going to have a touchdown now, and we were able to keep them out of the end zone, which was obviously huge. And so it's just proud of Jeremiah. He didn't give up on the play. He was able to regroup. And I'm just proud of our defense because when you're setting first and goal on the 2.5-yard line, those aren't favorable situations for the defense. And literally, we pushed them back the next two plays. So without a doubt, that was, in my opinion, the play of the game.
And Chambers also getting 2 more tackles on that first and on a third goal, pushing them back. That was a big part. And I'm fast forward, heading into the second overtime. It's 3rd and 7. And we have the play that ultimately ended up winning the game, Luke Anthony passing to Kobe Clark deep in the end zone. When that play was drawn up, was that the original play to throw it deep, or was that something where simply Luke took over instincts and said, okay, I'm throwing it deep?
Yeah, we'd run that play a couple times in the first half, and we had thrown it to Fink on both occasions, and so he did a really good job of looking to Fink, looking off the corner, looking off the safety, and going to Kobe Clark. And so it was really good by him of utilizing the play design, not forcing a ball to Fink that had been there early. And then just really proud of Kobe because, again, he was able to run a really good route. He stemmed the safety at the top of his route and got open. And you saw the ball. I thought initially, to be honest with you, he overthrew him. And Kobe did a really good job of adjusting to the ball.
A little bit earlier, you were talking about how your senior class has never beaten Stephen F. Austin. What did this win do for them? Well,
I think it does a lot. We talk a lot in our program about legacy and about, when a guy comes back and, whether it's next year or 5 years or 10 years, I always tell them, man, if your legacy's strong as a senior class or as a leader, that when you come back, when a freshman is now a senior, and you talk to that freshman who's now a senior and you get positive feedback from that kid, I think that's really, really strong and very powerful, very impactful. And so that's what I've always tried to get those guys to understand, man. This isn't, you've got a freshman over there that a lot of those kids aren't playing right now. They're scout team players, but invest in those kids. That's your legacy, man. That's part of who you are as a senior. And so I feel like our guys have done a really good job at that, beating SFA this year, and they've never done that. And, now having a chance to go on the road and beat a top 15 team, we haven't had a chance to do that yet this year too. So, they have a chance to add to that legacy this weekend.
And a guy who's been making a lot of big plays this season and especially these past 2 games is Josh Fink. He's had 12 receptions the past 2 games, 220 yards and a touchdown. As a senior, how big of a role does he have on the offense?
Well, it's huge, and I think, again, what I'm really proud of is you look at guys like him, Jeremiah, Tracy, they're all really similar. They're very unselfish guys. They work extremely hard. They take care of their bodies. They train extremely well. They're great off the field. They're great student athletes. I mean, you know, Fink was first-team academic All-American last year. And so for me, that's what makes me very proud as a head coach, when your best players are guys that do it right in every phase of their life. Again, that's that legacy component that they're showing freshmen that, man, you can be great in everything you do, and it's going to transcend to the football field.
All right, final score, ACU 31, SFA 24. The Wildcats will try to keep their winning streak alive tonight against Nicholls, which we will preview in a little bit. But first, as we go to break, take a look at scores from last week in the Southland Conference. This is the Adam Dorrel Show, presented by Lawrence Hall. Welcome back to the show. I'm Owen Simpson. The ACU soccer team was busy this weekend on the road against Lamar and McNeese. Friday night, the Wildcats traveled down to Beaumont, losing to the Cardinals 6-4. 10 goals in a game is the most for ACU in Division I history. Lamar's 4 second-half goals were too much for the Wildcats, as the Cardinals ranked top 10 in the nation for goals scored this season. Later on Sunday, the Wildcats got back on track at Lake Charles, taking down the McNeese Cowgirls 3-0 for its first win since October 6th. 3 different Wildcats scored in the win as they improved to 9-4-2 on the season. With the win, ACU also clinched a spot in the Southland Conference tournament that will take place in the second week of November in Conway, Arkansas. Looking over at volleyball, the Wildcats' struggles continued Thursday night, losing its 5th consecutive game, this time at home to Southeastern Louisiana in 4 sets. ACU hit a .155 hitting percentage, proving to be costly in the game's outcome. But all that changed Tuesday night. With their first win since September, ACU took down New Orleans in straight sets to improve to 5-13 on the season. Kennedy Shellstead led the way for the Wildcats with 11 kills and lead her A game once more when they hit the road for Northwestern State Thursday. Senior wide receiver Josh Fink has consistently been improving his game on the field this season as the year progresses, but his involvement on campus and in class has made a significant impact as well. We sat down with Josh to talk about his time at ACU so far. Josh, looking back before college football, was that always a dream for you growing up as a kid?
Yeah, it definitely was. Growing up, I played football and basketball, and those are kind of my 2 main sports. So basketball is really kind of my first love, and I played a ton of AAU growing up and everything. And then when I kind of got to high school, I kind of realized football was probably a more realistic route to get a scholarship to go play Division I sports. So I kind of started focusing on football primarily my junior year. I went to a lot of camps and everything, and the spring of my junior year, I picked up a couple offers, so I was really encouraged by that and just kept working really hard, and I was able to end up getting offered by ACU, which was an awesome thing.
And it didn't take long for you to make a positive impact on the field for ACU. Your freshman year, 482 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. What led to your success on the field at such an early time?
Yeah, I think I came in with just a lot of kind of a chip on my shoulder, a lot of determination coming in, and I felt like I was capable of playing. So I just worked really hard and was able to kind of get into a rotation in the starting role, which is exciting. And just having awesome teammates at that time that encouraged me and kind of showed me the ropes and everything, and then just having that big stage versus Air Force, the first game, and scoring a touchdown and everything just gave me a lot of confidence that I kind of carried on throughout the season.
And it's assumed college athletes really don't have a lot of social life. It's sports and it's classes.
Yeah.
But for you, you go the extra mile. You decide to join a social club on campus, Gamma Sigma Phi. How are you able to manage such a busy schedule?
Yeah, it's not easy. Time management is probably the toughest thing as a student athlete. But you know, I had people like Reese Gwynn and Kyle Carney that were seniors while I was freshmen that kind of encouraged me to do GSP, and they were both athletes at ACU, and so they kind of showed me that it was doable. So there was guys before me that had kind of set the path And then just in the midst of pledging and everything, just kind of prioritizing what I have to do, knowing that school comes first and athletics, and then just kind of handling everything else outside of it. I knew that I can do it, and I'm really happy that I did.
Now, fast forward to your senior year, you've been putting up some great numbers, especially these last 2 games, 24 receptions, over 200 yards and a touchdown. What has been clicking for you offensively this past 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think my connection with Luke has been really well. I think we just have good game plans going in, a lot of routes and opportunities for me to get open versus press coverage, really, one-on-one man coverage. I'm confident in myself that I can win those routes outside. So we just had good coaching, good play from our offensive line, and a balanced attack with our running game and passing game. So it's set up things well for me to kind of rack up the catches and yards.
And you and your team currently sit at 4-4 on the season. Looking forward, what's your outlook on the rest of the season, and especially with playoff implications on the line?
Yeah, we're really excited. We know that we're in a spot that's capable of making the playoffs, if we finish well. So we're really just kind of focused on taking it 1 week at a time. We have a lot of big tests ahead of us with Nicholls, Sam, and Southeastern finishing conference, some of the top teams. So I'm really excited to play those guys, and if we come out on top in those games, I think it gives us a good shot to get into the playoff.
And with your time left here, what are a few things that you'd like to see accomplished before you hang up that jersey for the final time?
Yeah, winning is probably the top one. But honestly, just cherishing the moments. My whole career, I've given the ACU football program everything that I had, and I was kind of planning on doing that for the remainder of the season, and just enjoying my teammates. Really, these are precious moments that I want to fully soak in, and just enjoy the ride.
As we welcome you back to the Adam Dorrel Show, take a look at the Southland Conference standings. There's a lot that will have to be decided over the next few weeks in the Southland Conference, as 4 teams currently sit with 1 loss each in the conference: Incarnate Word, Sam Houston State, Central Arkansas, and Nicholls. Now here's today's Southland Conference schedule. Southeastern Louisiana takes on Houston Baptist. McNeese travels to face SFA. Northwestern State heads to San Antonio against Incarnate Word, and Sam Houston at Central Arkansas. This afternoon, ACU is back on the road to take on Nicholls. Coach, going into this game, you've struggled on the road so far this year. What's going to be necessary to make that change going into today?
Yeah, I think, we haven't shied away from that. We've tried to talk about that a little bit, in our preparation and what we're doing this week. And, our guys usually play pretty good when we get in the right mindset. And, the thing I've challenged our guys on all week, man, we have nothing to lose. We're playing a team that's defending conference champions. They're, ranked 15th in the country, and just trying to get our guys into a mindset of being super aggressive, play with that mentality, play to win, and just do the best that we can, and try to stay focused and, control the controllables on the road. And I think that starts with your preparation all week, getting sleep, doing the little things, take care of your body this time of the year. So hopefully, those little things will make a huge difference on the road.
And how important is this game for you and your team with playoff implications on the line?
Yeah, we don't look at it like that. We try to go week by week, step by step. And, for me, it's let's try to get a road win. Let's try to beat a top 15 team. Let's add to that legacy component. Those are the things I talk about, trying to get some momentum, capture some momentum, taking it into the bye week. If you could do that, that's huge, man. You get into the bye week with momentum. It keeps guys really focused in the bye week, and when you get back off the bye week, the energy is usually really, really high. So those are the things we've talked about all week.
And Nicholls is coming off its first conference loss of the season last week to Sam Houston State, 17-0. They turned the ball over 3 times in that matchup. Obviously, forcing turnovers is going to be a key factor for you going into this game. But what are some other things you're going to be keying on with their offense?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you have to stop the run. I think we're the #1 rush offense in the conference, and I think they're #2. I think it's just a few yards behind each other. Everything they do is predicated on running the football, getting on short fields, defensively stopping the run. So it's going to be 2 really similar styles across the board: offense, defense, special teams matching up against each other. And that's why I've told our team all week, man, I think the team that exhibits the most physical and mental toughness is going to have a chance to win.
And how does Luke Anthony plan to avoid players like Kevin Moore and other defensive backs who have proven their line tracking abilities?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just got to throw on time, and we have to help Luke by being able to run the football. We're so much better when we throw the football because we want to, with play action passes to Fink and Kobe and the rest of the guys, and implement our quick game, screen game. I think those are things that alleviate pressure. We've tried to be very detailed on who's doing what this week, and just really put our guys in a situation to be successful, and then asking them to do things that they're really good at. The thing I'll tell you, this time of year, man, with all the film, there's tendencies that show up, and those are good and bad. And so we've really dived into our tendencies and tried to be really thorough on what we're doing, personnel groupings, formations, and stuff. And then obviously, we feel like we may have Nicholls State dialed in on some stuff. So, we got to go out and execute it now.
All right, it's back to the road after a 2-game stint at Wildcat Stadium. ACU will battle it out with Nicholls this afternoon. Kickoff is set for 3 p.m. Jim Reese and Grant Boone will have the pregame show on radio beginning at 2:30, and you can watch the game on ESPN+. For Coach Dorrel and Emily, I'm Owen Simpson. Thanks for watching the Adam Dorrel Show presented by Lawrence Hall. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you right here next week.